So we're going to discuss how the discussion part will look like and how you can attempt an answer, how you can recall back your memories, how you can buy time for thinking, and how you can assure the examiner that you have a well range of lexical resources, your pronunciation is good, you understand the question, and you can communicate clearly when you move to any foreign countries where English is spoken, and IELTS test is required for your educational journey or your immigration journey. So stay with me today, and we're going to discuss everything about part 3 of the speaking lesson. If you attend this lesson, you will understand everything that you need in order to achieve a 7.5 or greater score in your IELTS speaking test. It's proven strategy. I have done this myself plenty of time. Just do it as I say, and surely you will succeed. Good luck. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another video lesson. Today we're going to talk about part 3 of the speaking test in your IELTS exam. Now at this stage, you already have talked about 2 minutes in your part 2, and now you and the examiner are going to engage in a discussion. Now first, let's understand what discussion means. Now, you already know that right now you are listening to me. It's not a discussion. But let's imagine you are in front of me and you could directly ask me a question and I could answer you, and then I can ask you something and you can answer me. Don't you argue with your friends, with your teachers, with your family, or maybe when you are going to do groceries or you are purchasing something, you are engaging in discussion. When two people are talking back and forth, asking each other question, this is what discussion means. Now, a lot of students get confused here, they get nervous, and they think that what the examiner is going to ask me, like what if the examiner asks me how did the Elon Musk build a reusable rocket, or how did the Tesla car runs, or any rocket science? No, the examiners are not going to ask you these questions. It's loosely based on the topic that you have talked about for 1.5 or 2 minutes. So let's say if uh, you have talked about technology or something. Now the examiner would ask you what kind of tech gadget do you use, or why do you prefer tablet over your iPad, or why do you prefer MacBook over any other laptop? These sort of things. Now let me give you what we're going to do in this video lesson. I'm going to portray myself as usual as a student or examiner, and I'm going to answer those questions for you. And you can see how do I attempt to answer those questions. And most important thing that I want you to learn from this lesson is, let's say I don't know anything about the topic. How should I respond? If in the part 3 of the speaking test, if I get a question and I don't know anything about the topic, how should I answer it? Should I just say, I don't know, sorry, please, next question, I'm sorry? what should I say? I don't know. Can you tell me? Well, don't worry, I'm going to tell you. And another thing we're going to do is, I'm going to give you some topics that are like very familiar, and the chances are, now don't say, okay, he told me and that's why. It's from the Cambridge books, official Cambridge books, and from the past papers conducted all across the world. So what are those topics? So let's say in the part 2 you were given a topic, a cue card, to talk about friends. A friend who you met online, or a friend who you spoke to on a call after a long time. Tell us about. Then the follow-up discussion would be friends at school. And now let's look at the question. How does the examiner ask? And watch me how I attempt. So this is just only one example. And then I'm going to give you a list about 11 topics I have for you. And I'm gonna attempt few of those questions, and then you will see. And I will also tell you that if I don't know anything about the topic, how should I attempt? Is it clear? Now let's move in. So the topic was to talk about a friend who you met online and you guys are planning to meet in actual, right? And then the follow-up question in the discussion. The examiner asked me, how important is it for children to have lots of friends at school? Let me repeat. How important is it for children to have lots of friends at school? Now watch me how I attempt. Um, well, children do need friends at school so that they can work together, they can play together, and they can study together. But it's very important for their parents to monitor their children, who they hang around with, who they bring home, or who they go out with. So having friends at school is very important, but choosing which friend they can grow longer with, it's also a very important thing. Now, it's not a perfect answer, but I'm engaging in the discussion. It was the first question. Maybe I talk longer, and the next question, maybe I get more in the discussion, because at this point at part 3 you already talked long enough, and you may be nervous or tired or something. Let's look at few questions, and then we're gonna jump to the actual thing and all the strategies that you need to use. So the next question is, do you think it is wrong for parents to influence which friends their children have? I think this question itself is wrong. Who else would influence what kind of people their kid hang around with? I mean, would you let your children to, okay, if I'm being specific, would you let your teenage boy to hang on the street with all the bad boys and fall into trap or something, and do all the bad activities? Now, as a parent, it's your duty, it's my duty, it's everyone's duty to monitor their children, as I mentioned earlier, that who they hang around with, what kind of kids they play with, what kind of kids they make their friends. So it's very important for parents to influence their children. Next question. Why do you think that children often choose different friends as they get older? Okay, interesting. I will tell you about myself. When I was at school, I had different friends. When I moved to college, I had different friends. The reason was none of my friends moved to the college that I moved into. Different reason. Financial was the one of the reason. Financial stability. We could not afford to, and then I moved to university. I moved overseas. My friends at college, they were here back home, and I moved overseas. So different situation, different scenarios. And when I moved overseas, I had different friends. So as I grew up in my workplace, at my college, at my uni, in my neighborhood, I had different friends over the time. And some of friends I used to be in contact with, but then a lot of things get over us and we find it very hard to keep in touch with. So I think that's why all the time we choose to have different friends. Okay, now next question is, if a person is moving to a new town, what is the good way for them to make friends? Well, if I was to move into a new town and I need friends, I have to remember that all the people who are living already in the town, they might not need friends. So I should be the first one to take the first step and introduce myself to anyone in the town, whether I see them in the market, whether I see them on the street, just greet them and introduce myself. I think that's a very good thing. But if I sit back home and I wait that somebody's gonna knock on my door, introduce themselves and bring me something and say, welcome neighbor, I think it's not gonna happen. So I should be the one to take the initiative and maybe cook something and knock on the next door neighbor and introduce myself. So that's how I will make new friends. Okay, next question. Can you think of any disadvantage of making new friends online? Yes, a lot of disadvantage on. Okay, let's be very specific. Right now, you are watching me on the screen. Do you know me in real? I could be anyone. I could be wearing a mask. I could be wearing a wig. I could be wearing a beard. I could be faking my voice. I could be doing anything. So making friends online is not, I mean, you cannot trust. And the second thing is that you need to remember is what kind of level your friend category is. I mean, like, do you trust them over here or there? Like, what's their level? And the second thing is never ever send money online. I mean, you can get scammed, and you would be friend with somebody and they will tell you all the sobbing stories to get your empathy. And once you sympathize with them and they ask you for money, oh, somebody is ill and I need this and I have my paycheck coming in, and you send them money, and next minute they disappear. They block you from everywhere. You can't even find them. Where are you gonna find them? So making friends online is not an option anymore. Next question. Would you say it is harder for people to make new friends as they get older? Yes, I would agree. As you get older, you try to realize a lot of things. Like, I mean, I'm at this age. Sometimes I sit back and think about my friends at school. I used to fight them. They used to fight me, and but we would still hang around. We would still play cricket or football or anything, and we would participate in different things. We would go on hike because our school was in the mountains. But as I grew older, priority changes, and I tend to realize the thing that why people are trying to be friends with you, they want to gain something from you. If you stop providing them what they want to gain from you, they no longer approach you. For instance, if you are a rich guy or something like that, and if you have something valuable that they can take from you, they will come and contact you. But once they find out that you went broke, you no longer have friends. So, and then as we grow older, we also have to give time to our family. So we don't have a lot of time to just spend around with a bunch of people who means nothing to us anymore. So, yep. Okay. These were the question in your which book? IELTS General Training Book 18 and Speaking Test 4. These were the question. Now, what kind of topic the examiner might be discussing with you? Could they be asking me how to go to Mars? Can we survive on Pluto? Can we can we grow veggies on Saturn? Would they ask me something like this? No, they won't. Remember, very, very important thing that you need to know about your speaking test is it's not an information test, it's not a knowledge test. It's just communication. Like right now, I'm communicating to you over a video lesson. How did you even find me? You just searched something on YouTube and I showed up, right? So now I'm communicating to you. So it's just communication. It's not about rocket science. It's not about how much information you have. It's not about how much false information or true information you have. It's about communicating. Now, the possible topics that you and the examiner are going to engage in are the examiner could ask you about electronics. Don't you use electronics? This is electronics. Education. You already have received education, enough education. So you can talk about it. Children and young people, at some stage of your life, you were a kid. And maybe you are young now, and you growing to a man, or you already a man and you have children. So you can talk about children and young people. Is it rocket science? Museum and arts. Sometime in future I might have arts and paintings over the wall. Right now I can't afford. But yeah, what's the point of museum and arts? Haven't you heard of any? Okay, have you never even seen a painting? Okay, very interesting. Let's say you don't know anything about the museum and arts, and this is where I'm going to tell you after this that how you going to attempt an answer which you do not know. So thanks. What I'm going to do. Let's say you don't know anything about museum and arts. So I'm going to talk about this. Okay, tourism and travel. Very interesting. Since you are attempting to do the IELTS test, you are either going for your student visa or your work permit or immigration or something. So you are obviously traveling. Uh, can't you talk about anything related to travel? Haven't you already traveled from one city to another? It's very relatable, isn't it? So you can talk about it. And then when you are traveling, you're going to use transportation and you are moving cities. So transportation in cities, you're going to talk about another city. You're going to talk about public transportation. You're going to talk about your own transportation. See, next one, friends at school, like the one we just discussed, or friends at general, and making new friends, the one I just answered. Family occasion, I mean, don't you have any family occasion ever, like birthday or wedding or something? It's family occasion, right? Everyday life in families, like they could ask you just normal everyday life of yours, how you spend your day, your daily routine. What do you do in the afternoon? What do you do during the weekends? This is a very popular question they might ask you. What do you do during the weekends? Is it predictable, or you do something extraordinary every weekend, or do you have plans, or how different is it from your weekdays, normal working days, and your free days? How different it is. So you can talk about, like, I mean, you might be living in Pakistan or India, somewhere in the subcontinent, and you might be working 6 days a week, or you might be studying 6 days a week, and you definitely get a day off. Either it's Friday or either it's Sunday. So what do you do during those days? The holiday industry, or the holiday thing, like, I mean, since you are about to travel and you're gonna take holiday somewhere in your life, maybe you already your school vacations, I mean, it's right now, it's what month is it? It's May, right? And it's summer. It's going to heat up. I mean, it's going to really heat up. So I nearly forgot when we used to get vacations, but um, somewhere within weeks, the school is gonna get like holidays for 3 months. Can you talk about those things? So now, what are the possible questions they could ask you about those holidays? Is how do you used to spend holidays when you were a kid? Do you remember anything specific when you used to go on holiday? Maybe you used to go to your grandparents' house. Maybe you used to go to any faraway mountain regions to get a change of weather. I mean, you could definitely talk about this. This is very important. And since in today's world, a lot of people during these summer holidays, they go on vacations to like mountain regions in your country. If you have never gone, you possibly have seen those videos on social media. So you can talk about, I mean, I wish to have a road trip with my friends or alone or with my family, and I want to go somewhere where my eyes are open and I could just see as far as my eyesight goes in just nature, be around the nature. So you can talk about those things. So these are some of the topics that the examiner and you are going to engage in, and you guys are going to talk about it. Now, be honest and tell me here, all the things that I just discussed, did you find anything unfamiliar? Can't you talk about anything? Okay, we decided that we're going to talk about museum and arts, and let's say the examiner asked me a question that, have you ever visited a museum and encountered anything from the ancient ages? Or the second question, have you ever seen a multi-million or a high price painting in your life ever? And let's say I know nothing about museum and arts. How should I attempt? Focus. This is where you're gonna learn. And this is where things gonna get tricky. This is where things gonna get tricky. Okay. So let me jump to my book. Okay. So let me repeat myself again. The examiner asked me, Zahid, have you ever seen $100,000 painting in your life? Which I have, but let's say I have never seen. How should I answer? Now remember, I cannot just stay silent. I'm sorry, sir. I don't know. Can you please change the question? I'm sorry. No, only if you want to score like 4 or 5 bands, you're one of those guys who're going to UK and somehow somebody purchased your work permit. Now you just need fucking 4.5 bands and you can't even bring it. I mean, I had a student who just only need 4.5 bands and he couldn't do it. Anyway, so how should I attempt? Now I have to say some words. I don't have to stay silent. I have to say some words which will not sound unrealistic but will buy me time to think what could I say. So what was the question? Have you ever seen $100,000 painting in your life? And I would say, well, that's interesting. I have never seen anything like this. But what could I tell you is I have seen such thing happens on the movies that people are selling their paintings and there's exhibition and it's like hundred of thousand millions of dollars a painting like Mona Lisa painting and I have seen in the movies but not in real life. Did you see? No, you did not understand. Let's wait and see more. What else I could say? I'm not sure how to answer this because I have never seen a painting worth millions of dollars in my real life, but I have definitely read about it. I have definitely heard about from other people that they have gone to exhibition and they have seen multi-million dollar painting in real life and they were like astonished that how could just a piece of painting on a clipboard just painting and brushes and it would cost $1 million. So I would really love to see it somewhere in the future if I happen to visit such a city who's holding an exhibition and they have like multi-million dollar worth of painting. Another thing, third option. Well, I have never really thought about it, but what could I say is yes, I would love to see. I mean, I want to see how does a $1 million painting look like. I'm thinking right now that just a piece of painting, walls on a brush, painted with a brush and some oil painting, maybe water painting, it would cost millions of bucks. I mean, damn, I really want to see it. And other thing that you could say is that's quite difficult. That's quite difficult to answer because I have never encountered myself. I have never found myself in such a place where I would see such anything worth more than few thousand bucks, but painting worth $1 million, I would really love to see it one day. So you see what I'm doing here. I'm using phrases to buy me time and to give an answer so that the examiner, look, the point is we want the examiner to see that yes, we have a range of vocabulary because examiner is going to check our lexical resources, our task response, and all those things that we have discussed previously. I'm not going to go there. Go check out the other video about the speaking, you will know. So what could I say to buy me time? What could I say? All those things that I just said, like those phrases, that's interesting. Let me think. I'm not sure how to answer that, but I have never really thought about it before, but perhaps I could tell you something that I have seen on movies. That's quite difficult to answer because I had never witnessed it in my real life, but I have seen in movies. You can always give reference of something that you have seen in the movies or something. And yes, by talking about the movies, the examiner could ask you about movies and celebrities I don't watch movies anymore, but I could talk about my memories from the past that I used to watch, and I remember Jason Statham and Stylo and Tom Cruise and all those people. I could